Hello, everyone. Good afternoon, good morning, or good evening, depending where you are in the world. I know there are people joining us from many different places. It's a huge pleasure to be with you today to talk about artificial intelligence in arbitration. We will be starting in a few seconds, a few minutes to let people joining. For those who don't know me yet, my name is Jean-Rémi de Maistre. I am one of the co-founders of Mundi that we started 5 years ago now, and today acting CEO of the company. I see many of our historic clients who are connecting in the chat, so very pleased to see you here today, and also names that I don't know yet. So welcome. This discussion today will be about artificial intelligence within the context of arbitration and mostly generative artificial intelligence. I will give you like a short overview of our vision of artificial intelligence at Jus Mundi. I will show you also what we are doing in terms of AI, Gen AI. And then I will tell you about the Jus AI Acceleration Program that we just launched a week ago during the ICA conference in Hong Kong. So let me start. I will share my screen. Okay, so you should see my screen at the moment. Can you confirm? It's okay. Yes, perfect. Great. So let's start about this. Let's start this discussion about artificial intelligence. First, I want to do a bit of historic and tell you the difference between the AI that we are using before at Jus Mundi and what we are doing today. So artificial intelligence has been at the forefront of what we've been doing since the beginning at Jus Mundi. And this search engine that you know, the first search engine that was ever created for commercial arbitration award, especially, we created it thanks to artificial intelligence. So you probably know about this partnership that we created with the International Bar Association, which allow anyone around the world to send arbitral award that became public because of enforcement proceeding or set-aside proceedings. But what you might not know is how we've been able to quickly process all this information. Because the specificity when it comes to arbitration data, that it's available in many different languages. The awards are very complex. And so in order to quickly build a database that you can search, artificial intelligence helps us to interconnect everything. So that's what our first encounter with it. And this search engine has been very successful because in a few years, it's almost 600 now clients that are subscribing to use Mundi's platform to access this information. Many of them are law firms from more than 100 jurisdictions. So we just got to this number of 100 jurisdictions very recently, so we are very proud of it. But as well as many governments, more than 50 governments are today using the platform, many legal departments from all over the world, as well as universities, almost 70 universities are also using the platform today. So it was our first AI product, if I can say. Then in 2021, we created a new AI tool, which is a tool to redact automatically arbitral awards. And you know that before Jus Mundi, a few arbitral awards or summaries of arbitral awards were available, especially through the amazing work that ICA has been doing the past years. The thing is that to redact arbitral awards before AI, it was taking a lot of time. So this process was very costly for institutions, and it was making it very complicated to publish redacted award in order to protect confidentiality. Then we came with this AI in 2021 that can automate a big part of this process. So it allowed us to divide by 20 the time and cost required to redact an arbitral award. And that's why in like less than 3 years, there are 60 partners that have been trusting us to redact and publish their award. So this was really game changer for the community and for the possibility to have commercial arbitration information available. And I want to be crystal clear, all these centers or partners that you see on this screen that are working with us, they all work in the purest respect of confidentiality. And that's how AI has been helpful for them, because it helps them to publish what can be published while respecting confidentiality. So this was, I think, also like a very important step in the development of Mundi. But this was what we call now extractive AI, AI that can help us to process data behind the scene in order to build the product that you know in Mundi. Now the innovation is generative AI. And except if you live in a cave, you couldn't miss ChatGPT like now 18 months ago when it was released, and how this is changing the technological landscape. Now when it comes to legal services, generative AI is already having an impact, but it's about to have like a disruptive impact. Because what we do as lawyers is taking legal information, summarizing it, analyzing it, and doing like an advice based on that. Or we also draft contract, we draft pleadings, and so all this work is data work, like in a way or another. And generative AI capabilities is made for that. So we know that there will be a huge impact on the legal services market, including on arbitration. So what are the use cases that will be affected by generative AI? We've identified 5 at Jus. The first one is summarization. And maybe you are using already tools that are helping you to summarize some of your data internally. And you probably already know the amazing capabilities of generative AI to summarize. And that's why the first generative AI product that we launched at Jus last summer was a tool to automatically create a summary of arbitral award on our platform. And you know, when you have like a 500 pages arbitral award and you don't know it yet, the fact to be able to quickly have a summary and understand what happened in that case is very helpful. And so I want to be clear, like everything related to summarization is something which is gonna change a lot in the future. So we are talking about summarization of sets of documents, but even like full databases that you can extract the relevant information very quickly. Second point, and this will be the root of what I will show you today with our Gen AI assistant. It will help you to quickly understand legal issues. When you think of the legal research process, how does it happen? First, you go on a platform like Mundi, or you go in a book, you read about a topic, you extract some awards, some information from some books. Then once you have all of that, you process it and you build a legal research memo, you build an opinion based on that. Well, a big part of this process can be supported as well by generative AI, as long as you know how to use it and you're able to verify what is done. And so generative AI is going to help you a lot to build legal research memos in the future. And all of that is working cross languages. And this is game changer, I believe, especially when you are doing international arbitration. Because the information that we need, the legal information that we need to analyze as lawyers in international arbitration is coming from all over the world. And that's a specificity of our field, not only our field, but that is quite unique. And generative AI is excellent as to work among languages. So those 3 points are the ones that we cover with the existing Jus AI Assistant, and this is what I will show you just in a moment. But there are 2 other use cases that we'll cover very soon. The first one is the possibility to analyze a confidential set of documents. So to give you 2 concrete examples, let's say that in the future, when you receive the brief of your opponent in an arbitration case, that you will be able to upload this brief in your Jus AI Assistant and automatically get an analysis of the legal arguments that were put forward by your opponent, try to find some weaknesses, try to draft a counter argument. This will be supported by generative AI. But you can also imagine that, let's say you have a case management platform with all the documents, all the facts about your case, and then you have Jus AI, which is connected to the legal information, the laws, and you will be able to ask your AI to match maybe some fact with the legal arguments that you are analyzing at the moment. And so this will be supported as well by generative AI. And finally, last but not least, generative AI is going to support your drafting. Of course, it's not going to draft for you because it will be like a mistake, but it will help you to be creative. So, for instance, you can ask a Gen AI tool to draft an argument based on a specific legal concept that you want to put forward according to the instructions that you will give to the system. You can also imagine that an assistant will review what you are drafting to maybe spot mistakes, even if I'm sure none of the clients of Mundi is doing mistakes at any time, or just maybe suggest some improvement about what you are drafting. And generative AI is also very good to adopt specific styles. So you can even, ask to draft a specific argument based on what you have been drafting in the past. So, for instance, you are working on your brief, and you know that 3 years ago you've put together such a similar argument, and you can ask, okay, can you please go back in what I did in the past, find how I draft about this argument, and get back to me with a suggestion. So all of that, all those use cases are going to be affected a lot by generative AI. But I believe in a very positive way. So first, I want to be clear, like none of that will be done by generative AI. All of that will be supported by Gen AI. Because if you are not a lawyer, you are not able to use those tools. You need to know the concept, you need to know how to input the questions in those tools, and you need to be able to verify. So the AI part will just support the process and make it much, much shorter. Before I show you the product, I want to go briefly about how can we build that. Because there is, I think, sometimes like a misunderstanding that generative AI is like such a powerful energy that it can just achieve anything. It is not. It is a very powerful energy, and I used to compare it to nuclear energy. It's amazing. It's gonna change the life of everyone, but it's not because you have nuclear energy that you have a nuclear plant. You still need to build the plant around the energy, and that's what we are doing today at Jus Mundi. So the first part to build such a product is indeed to use large language models. And we use several at Jus Mundi, depending on the use cases, depending on the type of question that you are inputting. We use GPT-4 from OpenAI. Mistral is doing some models here in Paris. Pangu is a Huawei models that are done in China, and Falcon has been done in the UAE. So first we use LLMs. Then we improve the performances of those LLMs specifically for arbitration. So we train them to better understand arbitration concept. Okay, so having a database like Jus Mundi database can help to improve the performances of the LLM for our topics. But it's not only about improving the performances of those LLMs. It also trains LLMs to retrieve information from Jus Mundi database to give you an answer. So when you use Jus AI, you don't ask it just to give you an answer. You ask it to go into Jus Mundi database to find the most relevant documents to answer your question, and then to build an answer based on those documents only. That's why, as you will see, Jus AI Assistant always provide you with the sources so you can verify everything. And that's how we can also almost remove the risk of hallucination within the product. And finally, you need lawyers, you need humans, because this is a system. And this is a system which is built by humans, lawyers, first at Jus Mundi here, to answer lawyers' questions. So for instance, when you input a question in Jus AI, the first thing that we do is to try to understand what is your question, what type of question is that? And depending on the type of question that we identified, we will give you a different output. So it's very important to understand that this is a human decision. This is a design decision. That's why what we often say to our clients is that all generative AI systems are biased. And it's very important to get that. And Jus AI Assistant is biased because it has been created by Mundi people who input their own beliefs into creating this system. So first, this system is created by our people, our lawyers here at Mundi. And you might know that 1/3 of Mundi people are former lawyers. So we all participated in creating the system. But it is also then improved by the usages of this platform. So when you input a question and get a response into Jus AI Assistant, you can tell us if you like and or not like the response. And we will use that to improve incrementally the performances of Jus AI. So your feedback are very helpful. And I want here to give a very deep thank to the institutions and law firms who have been using the very, very early version of Jus AI in the past 3 months, and who provided us with their feedback. So this feedback was very helpful to improve and create the version of Jus AI that you will see today. So let's move to a demo of Jus AI. And during that time, I want also to remind you that you can just also ask any question in the chat and I will answer them. So let's go to the homepage of Jus AI. So this is how you can, you will see Jus AI when you go on it today. You have an entry point here in the search bar, and you can just ask questions here directly. You have 2 modes for Jus AI today. First, you can ask any question to the entire database of Mundi. So the best use case is that you want to know about the legal concept, you want to find some specific arguments. So here you can ask the database, or you can also connect to a specific arbitration case on which you are working, or a case that you want to understand, and ask custom questions about this case. So we'll go first about asking the entire database, and we'll go, you have some suggestions here, but you can ask what you want. And first question will be to ask what evaluation methods are used to assess damages. And I will also launch another one, which is more about how to waive the state immunity according to the UK National Court. And during the generation of those answers, I want to show you like another question that I generated just before you arrive, which is about how to execute an arbitral award in the US. But as you can see, I asked the question in French. And that's a very important aspect of Jus AI. We'll come back to that after. You can ask the question in any language. So feel free to play with it in your own native language and tell us what you will see. And you see that very interestingly, because I asked the question in French, Jus AI has kind of estimated that I was maybe a French person. So he first starts by telling me how does it work in France before to tell me how it works in the US. So that's also a very interesting part. So let's move back now to the other question. So you can see how it appears when it is getting generated. And so you see that it's going like step by step. So you need to wait a few seconds before the answer is generated. And I want to remind you of something that I already said. The answer is not like a ChatGPT answer. The answer is generated solely based on Mundi database. So it won't hallucinate and create something out of the blue, because the system is made to get the information only from our database. And that's why you can see all these blue footnotes that appears, and those footnotes are sources. And you can see them here all at the end. So you can see what are the sources that Jus AI has considered to be the most relevant to build the answer. We want to answer today about the question of how does the system consider the sources to be the most relevant? This is the most complicated part of what we are building at the moment. We have endless debate about that. We'll be happy to have some with you if you are interested, but that's not the topic of today. So the topic of today is really to show you what are the possibilities of Jus AI. So here, for instance, we identify all the different methods, how to evaluate damages, and here you can click and see from which part, you can find the source that will be relevant for you to understand this specific concept. You can also go deeper about a specific concept. So, for instance, you could ask here, okay, how arbitral tribunals have interpreted the usage of the DCF method in the past. Okay. And then you will have an additional question that will be focused only on the DCF method. One important topic is that when you continue to ask questions into the same conversation, the system will use the context of your first question and answer to give you the second question and answer. So you don't have to ask, to repeat what was said already before. Let's move now to the second question, which was more about how how to waive the state's immunity according to UK courts. So here the question is a bit simpler from the at first glance, and so you have an answer which is generated. And as you can see here, most of the sources that have been used are judgment of the UK courts, but not only. We have also some awards also that have been used to give you the answer. And if you click, you can also access on Jus Mundi directly the specific paragraph of the case. Once again, feel free to ask any question in the chat if you have. I will be happy to answer them. Oh yes, I see we have already a question. Oh, but how accurate are the case summaries that Jus AI generates? I can tell you that the case summaries are very accurate. We developed them already a few months ago, and we did a lot of R&D on it, and so the quality of those summaries is very good today. Before I show you the case inside, let's go back to my first question about the DCF method. So here, for instance, you see I've asked a question which is more specific to the discounted cash flow method, ask about how it is interpreted usually. And you see the system will give you several type of interpretations about the DCF method and will display that there. So you can be very creative. You can ask about a very specific type of question depending on what you need today. So this is saving a lot of time for you to do your research, and you can you can ask, for instance, to focus on specific type of sources. So here, for instance, I want to know more specifically what is the doctrine saying about it, and you can see here on purpose, I didn't clarify what my question was about, because as I said, the system is able to understand that your question is interconnected with the rest of the conversation, so it will build the answer based on the rest of the conversation. Now, one important element for you to understand, every time you go deeper into the same conversation, it will become more and more complex for the system, because it will reanalyze everything that happened before to make sure to give you the best answer. So don't ask like 20 questions into the same conversation. I mean, you can, but just be aware that the time necessary to generate the answer will become longer and longer over time. That's why if you want to ask about a separate topic, we encourage you to just start a new conversation here if you want to start. After you can go back to the previous conversation. Maybe I lost it because it was not generated. You can go back to the previous conversation by using here the historic of the conversation. What it means also is that this information, your question and your answer, is saved on your Mundi server if you don't delete it, because we keep that so you can go back to it, find what the answer was for you, and you can continue the conversation. If you want to delete, for instance, this, you just click on delete, and this will be deleted forever of our servers. So it will be impossible to get back to it, but you are sure that there will be no trace of the system on Jus AI. So what is saved on the left is saved on our servers only. It is fully encrypted, so it's also very secure, like everything that we do on Jus Mundi since day one. Okay, so during the time we have, so I see that we have here a lot of questions. So I will take those questions before to show you how to interact with your answer. So we have a first question about the token limit that you can, how many words for a question. It's a good question. I don't have the specific answer. I can get back to you in a moment about that. And can you add files for the AI to use, answer, and base the question on? You cannot at the moment, but you will be able to do it very soon. So by the end of June, it will be possible on Jus AI to upload a document and to ask Jus AI to translate it, to analyze it, to summarize it. So this will be possible very soon. Then we have a question from Michelle. Hi, Michelle, very good to see you. How can you guarantee that the AI assistant won't hallucinate? He's having a data set dedicated to arbitration and international law, enough to guarantee that the assistant doesn't hallucinate. So it's a very good question. The way we prevent hallucination is by using the system that I told you about, which is called like retrieval augmented generation. So it means that we ask the generative AI to only generate the question from our database. So it's important to understand that a system like ChatGPT is made to give you an answer in any case, because it has to be creative, interactive. So it will always try to give an answer. And even if it doesn't know. Here, Jus AI Assistant is made to give you an answer only if it can find the answer somewhere. So if you ask a question like for which we have no information in the database, it will tell you, I don't know. And that might be frustrating, but that's how it works. So this system is the best guarantee to avoid hallucination. Now, it doesn't mean that there will be zero hallucination. It can always happen. We estimate the risk of hallucination to be around 0.1% at the moment, but that's why you have the source to always verify from where the information comes from, so you can verify that there is no risk of hallucination. That's why we say that Jus AI is made to be used by lawyers, not by people who do not know anything about legal information. We have another question. How are translations generated by the system to provide the response where the response is recorded in English, but sources documents are in several languages? I will come back to that, Monse, in one moment. Yes. So let's move to another use case. I told you you can ask also Jus AI questions about specific documents. So here we have an award which was published on Mundi through our partnership with Corsica. And as you can see, there is no information about the parties in this award because it was anonymized before to be published on Mundi. What's important here is that this award only exists in Arabic, as you can see here. But you can ask Jus AI about this case. And you can ask questions about this case, like for instance, provide the list of arguments by the claimant, respondent, and conclusions of the tribunals. And here, Jus AI Assistant is connected to the case. You can see it on the top right of your screen. So the answer will come only from this specific case. And it's not only the award, it will be the entire set of documents of the case that will provide you the answer. We will do a similar test with another award, which is an award, HKIT award. That time, it's an award that wasn't published through our partnership with HKIT, but it was published through the IBA partnership. So it's an award that we collected through some national proceedings around the world. That's why you can see we have the name of the parties here in that case. And here we will ask another question, which is about the events that gave rise to the dispute of the case. So here you can imagine to ask any question about the case. What are the legal concepts involved? What are the factual elements, etc., etc. So we will let it generate the answer. It's quicker than the one in Arabic. So let's stay on this one for now. And so this feature to be able to interact with the case is very helpful here because you can very quickly understand what happened in that case. But as you can see, you can ask a question in any language from a case in any language. So how does it work? I told you that the system Jus AI, it's a system which is made to retrieve information from your Mundi database. So in order to build this system, what we do is that we vectorize our database. Vectorize means that we are transforming this in a kind of in numbers, basically. So we extract the meaning of what happened in the case, and we extract the numbers. Give me a timeline. We'll ask of the main type of the case. We'll be a bit more specific here. To ask a different format. And here you can see that depending on the type of question, the format will be different. We'll go back to the other question. So here my question was, provide the list of the arguments by the claimant, respondent, and conclusions. And you see that you have a very structured response, which is about claimant arguments, respondent arguments, tribunal conclusions. And it's still being generated at the end. So it's very important that you frame your question according to what you exactly want. So for instance, you can say like, okay, I want a timeline. As you will see, it will generate more kind of timeline. You can ask, for instance, I want to know the reasoning of the tribunal on jurisdiction, and I want to know what were the arguments that were applied by the tribunal in that case. And so depending on your question, you will get a very different type of response. But as you can see, it can be like a very thorough type of question. So here, for instance, I go back. I hope you can follow me because I'm moving from a use case to another, from a case to another. Here, I ask, give me a timeline. So you see the two questions might seem very similar. What are the events that gave rise to the dispute? And give me a timeline of the main fact of the case. But because I frame my question differently, the output was very different. And here you have really like an output type of response that was generated. Very important here again, you can click and have access to the specific paragraph from the document that we're talking about that. And so that aspect of multilingual, that's what we are the most excited about here at Mundi because, we have data, legal cases and information coming from all over the world, so in many different types of languages. And this tool is now making it very easy for anyone to access this legal information and use it for a case. And probably that our vision is to make global legal information easily accessible to everyone. And so we are very excited that now a lawyer here in Paris can understand a bit more what's happening in China and vice versa all over the world. So to finish about the person who asked me, how does it work? So I told you we vectorize all our database. And so whatever the language of the database, the language of the document, if it is in Chinese, in English, in French, in Arabic, we translate that in numbers that encompass the meaning of those awards, of each of the paragraphs of those awards. And so this can work totally across languages. Now to be fully transparent, the quality of Jus AI is not exactly the same depending on the languages. It's globally excellent in all languages, but there is a difference between English and Arabic, for instance, because the models are not as good for Arabic as they are for English at the moment, but we are working very hard at improving the performances of our models in the different languages. Here I've input questions mostly in English, but you can do it otherwise. So here, for instance, we have an award in English, and you can also ask questions directly in Chinese, and as you will see, you will get the response in Chinese. I will go through the last questions. I have a question from Sven. Will the language of the question change the content of the answer? So it's a good question. Globally, it won't change the entire question, but it will have an impact because the system will assume also that you are someone speaking this language and will have a different type of answer depending on the language. So yes, you might have some slightly differences, but it will be only on the side. And then we have another question by Georgios, assuming that Jus AI will in the future draw information from the entire GM database. Does that mean that clients without access to the publication add-on might be disadvantages? So it's a very good question, Georgios. So at the moment, Jus AI is building answer from the entire Mundi database, which is accessible to everyone. So all our treaties, cases, rules of arbitration, use Mundi's publication. So for instance, the wiki notes that we've made for available for everyone. We publish many case comments and other publications at Jus Mundi. We're also soon launching the Jus Mundi arbitration journal. So all of that will be part of it. Plus the open source libraries that you can see on Jus Mundi, for instance, the IBA or XSEED libraries. So all of that will be used by default for Jus AI. Now, as you might know, probably we have specific libraries that are add-ons paying libraries like ICC Dispute Resolution Library. So of course, if you don't have access to the ICC DRL, Jus AI Assistant won't use ICC DRL to build an answer. So that's a very good question. Thanks for it. So I will now close the demo time and go back to my PowerPoint to tell you about the Jus AI Acceleration Program more specifically. And the first point I want to go through here is generative AI is very exciting. At least that's what we believe at Jus Mundi. It's also very promising for all the multilingual capabilities and how it will also save us a lot of time in our daily work. But there are still a lot of questions, many concerns that are real concerns that should be discussed. And as I said, we are many former arbitration lawyers at Jus Mundi, so I can tell you that we have every day endless debates also about these concerns. And we spent the last 6 months doing speaking at many panels with you about generative AI. I think our team intervened in more than 40 panels in the last 6 months. So we discussed with the community, we engaged with you, and we heard everywhere the same questions. So what are those questions? First, can I trust generative AI? Will it hallucinate? How does it work? What's the difference between ChatGPT and Jus AI, but also what's the difference between using Jus AI and other artificial intelligence platforms that exist today on the market? And that aspect is very important because we need to know that the AI that we use is trustworthy. Second aspect is to better understand the risks about using generative AI. Of course, like confidentiality when it comes to legal services is very important. It's true for arbitration, but it's true in the entire industry. We process confidential information for our clients. We need to be 100% sure that they will be protected when we will use generative AI. How about intellectual property? How about bias, hallucinations? There are risks that you should master when using generative AI if you don't want to do a mistake. And finally, what is the real potential? Because I think we can all understand that this will have an important impact on our practices, but what exactly would be this impact? Should I build my own Gen AI tool inside the law firm? Should I hire data scientists or not? What part of the value chain of what I'm doing will be partly automated or not? So those are very big questions. I mean, no one has a perfect answer at the moment, but I believe it's very important to engage even more for those questions. So from those concerns and questions that we discussed with you over the last months, we crafted the Jus AI Acceleration Program, which is based on two main pillars. The first pillar is training. Training about generative AI, not Jus AI specifically, about generative AI globally to help you to understand generative AI as a technology and especially for arbitration. And the second pillar, it's an early access to Jus AI Assistant because Jus AI Assistant is already like very impressive and brings a lot of value, but we want to move carefully. So we don't want to open it broadly to the market yet. We will do that a bit later. And all of that, you will be able to do it in a fully secure and confidential ecosystem. So at the moment, we are still in the early access program with the 10 law firms and institutions that I mentioned earlier on. We'll be opening the acceleration program by the end of the semester. And we will do the full commercial launch of Jus AI in Q4. So at the moment, I'm talking about this intermediary step, the Jus AI Acceleration Program. This program is limited to 20 law firms or governments or companies only. And there are two reasons behind this limitation. First, the trainings will be done by us, by former arbitration lawyers who knows AI, and we'll be doing individual trainings for each of the clients. So we don't want to do 100 of them. We have a limited capacity at the moment. And when it comes to usage of Jus AI Assistant, we want also to be engaged, or to be able to engage with the clients who will be using it. So if we want to have a quality relationship with you, we need to limit the places for this program. We announced it 1 week ago. Already 3 places have been taken by some of our clients from the US, Brazil, and Madrid. So there are only 17 places available yet at the moment. To dig a bit more about the training session, so those will be 3 1-hour sessions delivered by team people at Mundi. First session is called Gen AI Examination. The goal here will be to make sure that you fully understand Gen AI as a technology, especially within the context of legal services and arbitration. So you can master the technology, you can challenge the product that you use or the product that will be used by your opponent. Second topic is Gen AI cross-examination. And here we'll be talking more about all the risk and limitation. We'll be fully transparent about that, discuss security, IP, and all other risks about generative AI. And last training will be more about the business impact of the generative AI, how it will impact the structure of a law firm or the structure of a legal department in-house team, how you should, what you should do to better integrate generative AI in your team, who will help you to do it. And I mean, without uncovering the content of the training, I can tell you already, if you have knowledge managers, those are the best people to help you to integrate generative AI because they are the ones who know the best the tools, who are able to challenge them and who are able to train your team and help you to make the strategic decisions. And then, of course, you will have access to early access to the Jus AI Assistant with everything that I've shown you today, but everything which is coming. And as I told you, very soon it will be possible to upload confidential documents within the secure system and to get analysis of those documents, to get translation of those documents. So every 2 weeks, we release an update in Jus AI Assistant, and it's becoming stronger and stronger. Of course, we'll also train you about how to use Jus AI Assistant specifically. We'll teach you about how to write questions, prompt, as we call that. I told you that you could do that within a very secure and reliable ecosystem. So to tell you a bit more about that, first, it's very important to understand that everything that you do in Jus AI stays only within Mundi. As I said, we use several LLMs, including GPT-4. And as you might know, when you use GPT-4, you need to go through OpenAI or Microsoft servers. So usually, the recommendation that we give to lawyers is don't use GPT-4 for business decisions, for business information, because it will be accessible to OpenAI, and so it will jeopardize the confidentiality of your documents. It's not the case when you use Jus AI, even if we use GPT-4. The reason is that we have a specific partnership with Microsoft, which is very rare and exclusive, that allows us to use what is called the zero retention policy, which means that everything that goes through GPT-4 when you use Jus AI is instantly deleted from Microsoft and OpenAI servers just after the answer is returned. So basically, the only place where your question, answers, and documents are saved are Mundi servers, not Microsoft or OpenAI servers. And those Mundi servers are very secure. So everything is encrypted. You have the possibility, as I said before, to always delete a conversation. And we are in the process to be ISO 27001 certified. It will be the case after the summer. And so we are giving you all the security guarantees that is necessary. Of course, if you want to subscribe to the Jus AI Acceleration Program, we can give you much more information about that. You know, as I said before, that we have been partnering with many arbitrary institutions for the past few years to help them to redact awards. Those institutions have also conducted sometimes some very deep due diligence about Mundi security. So this is something that we master here very well, and we are very conscious of the importance of this security. And finally, the last point is more about reliability, how to prevent hallucinations. As I said, Jus AI is trying to only give you answers from the sources that you select, either using the database or very soon your own content. So that's how we can prevent hallucinations. So just a summary of the program overview. It will last 6 months from July to December. If you join the program before, we'll give you access before, so that feel free to decide as soon as possible. And as I said, there is this limit of 20 slots. We will onboard you. We will give you the training. So the training will be planned with your team. It can be done in person, if possible, or online as you want. We'll invite you to share feedback with us because this will be very helpful. You can have calls with our product teams. They will love you. They can come to your office as well to engage with you and understand this. And we have 2 offers, one for single office. So this will be a maximum of 5 users accessing Jus AI. And if you have a multi-office offer, it will be a maximum of 15 users. The reason why we are limiting, it's again because we want to have people who are actively engaging with the product, so we can have those conversations with you. For the training, you can invite as many people in your firm as you want. It's not limited, but for the number of users, it's limited. So feel free to join the waitlist if you are interested in Jus AI Assistant. So we had already, I think, 200 law firms, governments, entities who joined this waitlist with whom we are talking at the moment. So please hurry up if you want to be part of this program. We have also some internal rules. So we want to have participants from all over the world. So for instance, we won't take like 15 participants from the US. So there are some limitations per regions as well. And just to summarize, we'll get access to the training sessions, to the early access to Jus AI Assistant, all of that in a secure and confidential ecosystem. Plus, you will have a preferential pricing on Jus AI Assistant if you want to subscribe in the future after the official commercial release. That's all for me. Let me check if we have still some new questions from people. Michelle, will it be possible to use our presentation to present it to other team members? It would be really interesting to share it. Yes, we'll be sending you the presentation, Michelle. If you want us also to do one specifically for your team, feel free, of course, to do it. We'll be happy to do so. So it seems that we don't have more questions. Feel free, of course, after to engage with us. If you have already clients of Mundi, you have a point of contact which is dedicated to you. You can directly reach out to them. If you want to join the waitlist, just go on Mundi website. There is a Jus AI part. You can register it. We'll be in touch with you as soon as possible. Feel free to tell us what you think about what we are doing, about the product. As you see, we try to do it in a very collaborative approach to get your feedback and to do it in a way that will serve the best the interest of the community. So please tell us what you think. We are very eager to get your feedback. Thank you very much for listening to me during 50 minutes. I hope it was interesting for you. I wish you a very good evening or day, depending on where you are. Thank you for following us, for trusting us. And I wish you a very good end of day. Bye-bye.